Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Hope you're doing well. So there are two developments that I want to discuss with you today, which really illustrate just how much purchasing power the fiat US dollar has lost. The first development is that the spot price of gold rose above $2,900 for the first time in history. The other development is that President Donald Trump called today for an end to the minting of US penny coins. This is what he wrote on Truth Social. For far too long, the United States has minted pennies which literally cost us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful. I have instructed my Secretary of the U.S. Treasury to stop producing new pennies. Let's rip the waste out of our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time. And he's not wrong. The dollar has lost so much purchasing power that pennies are actually more expensive to produce than 1 cent. Now, they tried to fix this problem back in the 80s by debasing the composition of the penny. Pennies used to be primarily copper. In 1982, they switched the composition to a copper-coated zinc token, which did reduce the cost. But now even these zinc tokens that aren't even made out of copper cost more than a penny to produce, significantly more. As the president mentioned there, it costs more than 2 cents to make a zinc penny. So I want to think about this in terms of historic valuations. And I have here a 1924 St. Gaudens Double Eagle US gold coin. So at one time in history, before 1933, we actually had gold coins that circulated in the United States. This was one of them. These coins had a face value of $20. So I want you to think about that in terms of pennies. And by the way, right now, despite the fact that gold has risen to record all-time highs, these coins, like this one right here, are an absolute steal at the moment. Retail investors are selling these coins into the market. What's driving the price of gold higher is primarily institutions and central banks. So the premiums on slabbed and graded coins like this over at SD Bullion are less than 2% over spot. So, if you see gold breaking out to record all-time highs and you think you missed the boat, there are still deals in the gold world. You can get one of these for less than 2% over spot right now, which is pretty incredible. But let's talk about the penny and these coins. So I want you to think about this being worth $20. Now, this coin is not a 1 ounce coin. It contains 0.9675 troy ounces of gold. I'm not sure exactly why a $20 coin didn't have just a flat 1 ounce of gold in it, but that's how they did things. If you know the answer to that, leave a comment down below and you can share that information with us. But the point is that if a $20 coin contains 0.9675 troy ounces of gold, then you can figure out how much a penny was worth back at that time. So $20 is 2,000 pennies, right? We're going to do a little math here to explain just how much purchasing power the US dollar has really lost. And it's pretty shocking when you look at it in these terms. So if 0.9675 troy ounces of gold was the equivalent of 2,000 pennies, because it was a $20 coin and $20 equals 2,000 pennies, then that means that a single penny before 1933, considering that these gold coins were circulating alongside the pennies, was worth 0.00048,375 troy ounces of gold. Now, I want to compare that to today's price, which, as I mentioned earlier, was over $2,900 for a single ounce of gold. A penny back in the day, when we had circulating gold coins and pennies side by side, actually was worth the equivalent of $1.40 today. Now, these days, if you drop a penny, do you even bother to pick it up? I mean, if you walk by a penny on the ground, a lot of people would probably just ignore it. I mean, me, myself, I'd probably pick it up, see if it's a copper one from 1982 or earlier, but most people will just skip that over. They're not going to pick it up. But think about this. If you see $1.40 laying in the street, do you pick that up? Most people probably would. And that is what a penny actually was worth back when we had sound money. So consider this. The dollar over the past 100 years, when you're talking about the comparison between, pennies and gold and face value and all this stuff, has lost 140 times its value, right? It's been devalued by a factor of 140. That's pretty amazing. Over the course of a century, to have your currency debased by that amount. And the reality is that this isn't stopping anytime soon. I mean, I suspect that we'll be over $3,000 in gold very soon. Probably all change is going to be eliminated from the U.S. currency supply. I mean, pretty soon you might be making change with dollar bills. And it makes sense. If you've lost over 140x of your face value, that means that a dollar bill is worth less than what a penny was back when we had sound money. Now, here is a 1943 penny. This is actually made of steel because copper was needed for the war effort in World War II back then. So maybe we won't eliminate quarters and dimes and nickels entirely. And, nickels already cost like something like 2x their face value to produce. So they're probably next on the chopping block. Maybe those coins will get retrofitted into steel or something like that. That is something that has been done in other countries that have debased their currency and experienced very high levels of inflation. But I wouldn't be surprised if we just skip that step entirely and just stop using coins, or maybe they'll keep the existing supply of coins and they'll continue to circulate, but they just won't make any more. But they'll become more and more meaningless as the currency gets devalued. Or the other alternative is that maybe at some point in the future here in the US, maybe not even that far off, we might end up getting a currency revaluation. And that is where they just take your existing dollars and they chop a few zeros off. Think like Venezuela type level inflation or Zimbabwe. And that might sound extreme, but I wouldn't be surprised if we ultimately go that way. Now, if that happens, maybe they'll just keep the existing change and they'll just keep it at the face value and the paper money will get revalued. I mean, who knows? This is all just speculation at this point. But when you consider a 140x devaluation in the dollar over the past century and the fact that it's a trend that really is kind of going exponential, right? It's getting faster and faster, the debasement of the dollar. That is why gold's chart looks like it does. It really makes you think. It really makes you think, and it might make you think about getting your hands on some hard assets like physical gold or silver. At least that's what it makes me want to do. And by the way, if you want to stack some precious metals that remain incredibly undervalued, that are not breaking out to record all-time highs, silver is perhaps something to examine. I do think that eventually silver is going to catch up and even surpass gold as this bull market continues in the precious metals. Gold's undervalued, but silver even more so. But let me know what you think in the comments down below about this massive devaluation of the dollar. Do you think we should stop making pennies? I mean, I guess it makes sense at this point, but that is not necessarily the solution, right? That's just a symptom of a much bigger problem, the ongoing debasement of the US dollar. But if you enjoyed this video, check out the video that is popping up on your screen right now. You'd probably like that one too. Leave me a comment down below to let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, everybody, and stay safe and happy stacking. I'll catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker out.